Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we got ourselves another Geometry Dash video on my most recent demon completion. This time we have the ever iconic 9 Circles by Zobros. 9 Circles is going to mark my 25th demon and my 6th Circles level, and also my 3rd hard demon completion. Like with my other 2 videos that we did talk about on, or my other 2 levels, we have Butterfly Effect, which was my 4th Circles level and my 19th demon, and then Bismarck from the one of the, I think it was the Galaxy Gauntlet, which was my 20th demon because I thought the level was really cool. For 9 Circles, we're going to be doing this a little bit different. Instead of just doing this part, this part, this part, no, we're literally going to be doing the entire level of 9 Circles, doing all the parts, you know, the first, get the cube, the first ship, the first ball, and then we're going to split the wave up into like different parts, and then we're going to do each part, rank them on a scale of 1 to 10, and find the average. I don't know how good 9 Circles really is, so I decided instead of ranking the whole level as a whole, I'm just going to do each part on a scale of 1 to 10. But yes, guys, this level I think deserves its own video. I mean, it's, again, one of the big faces of the 1.9 era, which is arguably the most popular era of Geometry Dash, with other levels like Cataclysm, Bloodbath, and Death Moon as examples. In addition to all of the things that 9 Circles was when I completed it a few days ago, this level is also my new hardest, and also my new most attempt heavy level. Let's just say compared to Butterfly Effect, it destroyed it in terms of attempts. And remember when I said about 9 Circles like being a whole other level of pain compared to Butterfly Effect? Yeah, that was completely validated when I completed it. Not only did I have a mental breakdown trying to beat it on my last few days of it, but it took a lot longer than just 4 days of grinding out the level. A piece of advice I guess I can give here is if you do go for 9 Circles as your new hardest, practice, 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 especially the wave parts. The first ball is, I guess, pretty learny, but you really want to practice the wave parts and try to get as consistent as possible, and also practice the last cube because that part is going to be a nightmare if you just go into it point blank. Before we get started, if anyone is brand new to the channel, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button. Up next is 900 subscribers. And if you guys want to know what I do for content, it'll be in my channel description. Anyhow, guys, let's get into the ever iconic level. Enjoy. The first part of the level is this relatively easy cube segment. All I have to really say about it is that it's mildly annoying at best. But because it's at the very beginning, there really isn't much to fret about. But because it is mildly annoying, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. But believe me, this is far from the worst part of the level. But there are a couple parts that do get better along the road. Next up is the ship part. This part out of the non-wave parts is honestly my least favorite. It's just the least consistent. And I died here the most times out of the non-wave parts. I'm going to be giving this ship part a 4 out of 10. Even though it's still relatively close to the beginning of the level, dying here, it just feels like a huge waste of time. The ball part is pretty good in terms of consistency, but there are 2 clicks in this part that I just don't like. First up is getting past the coin route, because the coin route I think is slightly easier. However, the problem still arises with the orb click afterwards. Either you hit the orb slightly too early and you just die to the pit of spikes below, or you click it too late and you just die to the saw right next to you. The other click, however, is with this yellow orb. Now, I got pretty consistent at this part and I didn't die to this yellow orb too often in the later attempts, but during the beginning when I was still trying to find a consistent method, I would always just barely touch the little red spike above it because I hit the orb slightly too early. Because remember, if you hit the orb slightly too early, you go straight up instead of at an arch. For the ball part, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. It was arguably one of the less enjoyable parts, but it was one of the more consistent parts at the same time. For the pre-drop before the wave, I'm just not going to add anything to this one because it's literally just 2 jumps. Instead of just giving it a 0 out of 10, I'm just going to not have it in the final score because that might affect the average. But other than that, this part is just there. Now for the wave part, we are going to split this part into 4 segments. We have the regular wave with normal gravity, regular wave with inverted gravity, the mini wave with regular gravity, and then the mini wave with inverted gravity. For each of these parts, we're going to rank these on a scale of 1 to 10, and then that's it. For the first part of the wave, this is arguably the worst part of the entire level. Out of all the wave attempts I had, I died to 41% at least 150 times. At least the beginning of the wave is the worst part, so once you're done with it, hopefully you get your consistency right and you can finish the rest of it. But just getting here, it's just like, oh, I finished the entire pre-drop and then all of a sudden, Oh, gotta start from the beginning because you died right at the beginning of the wave. It just feels like a massive waste of time. This part consisting of the clicks at 41%, going through one of the diamonds, and then that slow transition to the next part. I gotta give this part a 3 out of 10. The reason is because, again, just getting here and then dying immediately as soon as you start the wave, it's just a huge waste of time. For the next part of the wave with the inverted gravity, this part was much more consistent, but I kept dying at around 52 or 53%, either from under or overextending my clicks in some of the parts of just going up and down. And then there's the dual part right after it, which is okay, but the transition into the portal isn't all that great. It has to be just perfect so you don't overshoot or undershoot your click. There would be so many times where I would get to the last click of the duel and just barely miss the portal and just die there, because I kept thinking I was overshooting my click at the top and keep hitting the top diamond with the mini wave. But apparently no, I wasn't clicking long enough and I was just dying to the base. However, because this part is a lot more consistent, I'm going to give this part a 5.5 out of 10. The reason it's not a full 6 is because the duel does kind of affect it. But other than that, this part isn't all that bad. For the first mini wave segment, this was honestly the best part of the entire level and was the most consistent. Although there is one small exception to this whole part, and that's the clicks at around 70%. I died here maybe like around the double digits amount of time, maybe like 20 times or so, only because the last click is kind of awkward. But other than that, this whole mini wave flows out pretty well until the inverted gravity part. For that, I'm going to give this part a 7 out of 10. And now we have the last part of the wave, which is the mini wave with inverted gravity. This part is more of just going up and down again, except for the part when you get to the dual portal. This part, I don't know why I kept screwing up here. My original plan for this was to just spam into the portal and hope for the best. And after like 5 or 6 attempts at getting to this point and kept dying, yeah, I said, let's find something new. So what I found was going to the top of the screen in this little safe area and then doing 2 clicks in preparation to get into the portal. So basically I would click once, let go very quickly, and then click a second time to readjust myself to the direction of the portal, and it made it a lot easier. And now for the duel itself, it's fine, except for the first click. For some reason, the first click is literally just point blank and it's right in your face. One of my attempts was me getting the pattern correct. However, I just die right to the first part, or the first click, because it's literally right in front of the portal. And then I guess you could say the last click before the portal to get to the final cube isn't that great. But overall, it's just that one click that pissed me off and the pattern I had to do to get into the portal. For this whole segment, I'm going to give it a 5.5 out of 10. And finally, we have the dreaded final cube. This whole part is just a huge whatever. There really isn't much to say about it. It's just a nerve test because you're right at the end of the level. Although there is one click in the level that made my attempt count skyrocket because, again, getting here was few and far between attempts. And I died to this one specific click 4 times where this yellow orb is, because I'm like, oh, it's a late timing. However, it's not just a late timing. You basically have to click the last frame you're on that yellow orb or else you die. And then surprisingly, when I did pass the yellow orb for the first time, I actually beat the level from there. I respect this last part for being like a really good test of nerve control, but that one click is like basically a frame perfect. Well, it's not a frame perfect, but it really feels like it's a frame perfect. For this final part, I was conflicted about giving it a 4 or a 5 out of 10, so I'm just going to split it down the middle and give it a 4.5 out of 10. But again, I do respect it for being a really good test of nerve control. Finally, we have the attempts and my overall rating of the level. Like I said before, this destroyed my previous most attempt-heavy level, which was Butterfly Effect, which, by the way, took me 2,500 attempts. 9 circles, however, took me close to 6,500 attempts. If we subtract 750 attempts from this level, we get 5,700. The reason I bring this up is because around 750 attempts were from an old practice run I did when my hardest was like Theory of Everything, when I was just doing really hard practice runs for fun, such as levels like Bloodbath and Cataclysm. As a reference, Bloodbath took me 1,450 attempts to do a complete practice run, and believe me, that was not boring. Between all 8 parts, we get a final score of 40.5, and if we divide this by 8, we get an average of 5.1 out of 10. If we're talking about the level as a whole, I'd probably give it around a 7 or 7.5 out of 10 throughout everything, such as the gameplay, enjoyability, decoration, and everything else. And I can definitely understand why this level was considered a masterpiece for its time. And there we have it, guys. My not so in-depth analysis on the ever iconic level. The level was somewhat annoying, but nothing bad by any stretch. And let's also look at how many things it did for my completion list. Not only was it my 25th demon, it was my 6th circles level, my 3rd hard demon, and most importantly, my new hardest. And outside of that, let's look what it did for the community all those years ago. And even today, its legacy still lingers on in hundreds of new circles levels getting uploaded. Some that are really good, such as levels like Cosmic Cyclone. And then you have stuff like Infinite Circles, which I actually played that level before. It's just artificial difficulty everywhere. If there was no artificial difficulty in Infinite Circles, it would have been an 8-star level at best. For now, I'm probably going to be taking a break from the game, or I'm probably just going to play some easier levels. Maybe pick up some easy demons that I made progress on, but I just never finished. Take levels like Speed Racer as an example. And maybe I'll come back for a new hardest for like my 35th demon or something. I think even for my 30th demon, I might just aim for like my top 5 hardest. Maybe pick up a level like No Wise, which would be my 2nd hardest now. And originally I had Forsaken Neon for my 15th demon, which when I was trying to go for it, I dropped it very quickly after getting 23. The level's pretty annoying, so I saved it. I'm going to be saving that for later. Not to mention, it would be my hardest if I beat Forsaken Neon, so there is that. Alright guys, so that's going to be it for today's video. If anyone is brand new to the channel, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button. Brand new goal is 900 subscribers. If you guys want to like or dislike this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, and have a great day.